Hello, seminary teachers. We are coming up on March and April, which means we're going to have a lot of questions about attendance at seminary during spring break. Now, if all of your students have the same spring break, even though they go to different schools, no problem. You don't need to worry about this. But most of our classes have students from multiple schools represented, and there might be several different weeks that are observed for spring break. So how can you handle this? That's what we want to talk about today. So let's look at some guiding principles. First, when you're determining the seminary schedule, we first want to look at the policy manual. So take a look at this slide, and it talks about this principle that when we hold seminary when the local schools are in session. So each day that the school is in session, that's when we should be holding seminary. Now, occasionally we're going to have some adjustments or modifications to the schedule, some minor changes, that's fine. But in general, this is what we should plan on. And second, we want to consider the counsel of the stake leaders. Typically, they do not enter in on this conversation about spring break. So third, we take into consideration the factors impacting the students in your class, and then you can counsel with S&I personnel, that would be me or even my admin, Heather, to determine what is appropriate for your class within the parameters of the policy manual. So let's take a look at some options. So first of all, when you set up your schedule in WISE, you likely already have this scheduled and set up from the beginning of the school year because we approved all of the schedules at the beginning of the year. So you probably had 1 week marked off for spring break. Now, some of the students in your class are going to have that as their spring break. And then others are going to have a different week for their spring break. So for those students who have a different week off, they can miss seminary during their week off. That's the school week off for spring break. And then they can turn in makeup lessons for the other days that they miss. So students should have only 1 week off for spring break. Students can have 1 week off for spring break, and then the other week can be in person or an at-home lesson from the student manual or some other appropriate makeup work option. In WISE, the way you would mark this is if a student doesn't attend in person but does turn in makeup work for a day, mark made up absence for attendance. That helps to keep our records appropriate because legally we can only mark them present if they are physically present in that class. So the made up absence is for those instances where they do the makeup work instead of attending in person. Making sure that you have your calendar set up the right way and WISE, and making sure that you've marked attendance correctly for each of these students. It can be really tricky, so please reach out if you have any questions. I'm happy to talk with you over the phone or jump on a Zoom call. Let's make sure that we hold seminary as often as we can so that it can bless the lives of our students every day. All right, thank you so much.